system is showing that they were what?
The 2005
Showing that, so on their system is showing that they are the person bought the person. What do you want? I think the bank
What do you think?
I don't agree with him.
Why don't you
He
agree?
doesn't agree with the bank.
Like you bought the 2005, but you didn't use it. But the bank wants 2005. How does that
Look, now, listen, you go buy a PS now. But then you never used it.
you never used it?
Yeah, you never used it.
I never used it. I never made use of it. I did not buy something from you as the supplier, which doesn't make me a consumer to you.
But where does the consumer rights come into play?
I think the fact that I didn't make use of it should already respect my rights as a person, because I think that's my right to say I don't want to go into your store and buy it. Even though you offered me credit, even though it is on my name, I'm allowed to say I do not.
That I cancelled that already. Somebody I gave already, my recipient I gave cash. It might come. So your recipient that you gave cash is not showed up. So then I'm telling you, if your recipient that you say you give somebody cash to come and buy is not yet in the shop. So how will this still going to stand? Because remember, yes, you are a customer, and this is business. It's not about family issue or no, I know it's I aim to make money, I'm here to make money. I'm not here for Christmas gift or something. So let's say group is a person group, I'm here to make money. And when you tell me I'm going to get these things on the month, I already celebrated. So I already no, yeah, that's
I'll be the second.
I was saying something on human rights. Can you just take that again, sir? I had something on human rights. Can you just take it again?
Yeah, the human rights.
Yes.
Because just like top is recording.
You were saying something of violation of human rights. Continue, sir. I'm rolling tape.
violation of consumer human rights have been violated. Either because the consumer did not use the voucher and yet he was deducted for it. For me personally, I think that's a violation of consumer rights because it is money. Or was that part of the agreement? Was it part of the agreement that should you cancel it, you still be charged?
But now the challenge is that this guy bought his voucher, wanted it. Now they don't want to cancel it later.
So he bought it. What is the agreement now?
So why don't I think it's one of the human rights?
So, in principle, even though he bought it, he changed the option to say, I will not make you smoking anymore. I would rather provide cash.
Yeah.
So, it is an individual choice. I'm a consumer, I have my right to choose. Right?
My phone. I never made use of it. I can literally just take out my SIM card and throw it away and say, I did not apply for this. I'm not going to pay for it. The second thing that we also decided was that you need to go through all the channels. When you apply for something, ask questions. Ask questions. Like, for instance, most companies have fine print. So ask about the fine print before you sign. We also decided on that. And then we said that the fact that he or she they don't need to pay the bank. Because I didn't use it. So where does my right as a consumer stop? Because I'm being forced to pay for this. I do not have a right at the end of the day. I'm being forced. It means that Mercedes made a very good example. She said, if you walk into the game or Checkers or wherever, and you take a kettle from the shelves, And you go to the till and you realize that it's cheaper somewhere else. It's $15 cheaper. And I put it back there. I don't take it directly to that shop where I take it from. I put it probably, I'm gonna just put it there. I don't need it anymore. It's cheaper if you can pay. Does that make me the consumer for taking it from your shop? Do I have to pay for it automatically? I don't think so. I didn't use it. I did not make use of that service or that product. I didn't consume it. So we decided that no, it's not fair to me. But since this is a South African company, does this allow us as Namibians to fall under the same rule that applies in South Africa? Because I think this applies in South Africa, not in Namibia. I don't think that the Namibian consumer rights actually fall under South Africa because we're an independent country. Do we not have our own rights as consumers here, or do we just fall under them because they are franchise? They provide jobs for Namibians, which creates an income for our economies. I don't think so, because when we said we're independent, we said we're on our own. So we have our own rules and regulations to go by. So I can't pay you back. I'm not going to pay you back. That's the big thing. It's not fair. That was the thing. And then you wanted to know, this was sent to you via SMS, and he is very good. He said you wanted to find out the date it was sent. My question was, I want to find out when it was going to expire. How long is this valid? If it's valid for a year, I can still change my mind in that period of time and make use of it. If it's valid for 3 months, and I decide within those 3 months I've got enough cash to go buy a jacket, whatever cash, then I don't need it. Should I want to pay for it? A good scenario that one of our friends said was, it targets my human rights. It really does. I feel conflicted with the fact that I have to pay for something I'm not going to use. I have to basically suffer and make that decision based on the fact that if I don't pay you back, I'm going to get left with this. Even though I don't make you suffer. Even though you're a South African company running in Namibia, to which law do I go to? To which department do I go to? To which ministry do I go to? Where do I start? Because now I have to do something I'm not using. So which means if I have a voucher from Power and I don't use electricity for that month, do I have to pay Power still? The problem can be solved by one more correcting it. Thank you.
Can we please have a file?
The person who didn't use the voucher, he was told to delete the SMS that was sent to him. Okay, so in this article, we don't know if he deleted the SMS or not, but he was told to delete the SMS, which means if he deleted the message, it means because it said he was given cash and told to delete the message. It says here however, the account holder in the meantime provided cash to the intended recipient and told the recipient not to buy on his credit and to delete the SMS. It doesn't say if it was deleted or not, but it's unjustified for them because the recipient didn't buy anything. It does not say he bought anything. He did not buy anything. They sent the voucher to him. He didn't ask for it. So it means they have to pay, not him. And then the rest we think is justified. In the store system, the voucher was already bought. And it shows that they own 2,500. The store has no relation with what they did to the voucher. So it's not the store's problem that I didn't use the voucher. So it's okay. In a way, he bought the voucher on credit, which means he has to give the store 2,500 even if he didn't use the voucher. The store has no relation with what he did to the voucher. It's not his problem.
Okay, and some people would say, like, some people would say that it's a crime. I feel it would be a crime. It would be a crime for the account holder to ask the recipient to delete the message because they own. So why do they have to delete? Why does they have to delete the message? They own the store. It's not the store's problem that they went inside and bought.
Can we please have group 2? Is this space on the card?
Thank you very much. So, just on the same case study, we'd just like to highlight two things. Is it fine if I make it? Thank you. So, we'd just like to highlight two things, which this case then holds two views, of which we would like to compare with the previous gentleman that we hear. But however, it's very important that we highlight that the case in itself is wrong to the consumer, in which the consumer's rights have been violated. What rights were violated to the consumer? Number one, we look at the right of choice. The consumer within the case stipulates that he or she wants to pay cash, irregardless of him or her receiving the voucher. So meaning that in the sense that this voucher should not reflect. If you want to pay someone cash and they told you that, and then they send you a notification that we are charging your account while you have given that you paid by cash, they are violating your right of choice as a consumer, number one. And then moving on is that this consumer has the right to information. Why not say that the company has the right? Yes, Foshini has the right within South African laws, but however, speaking on the jurisdiction of Namibian laws is that it's very important that the right of information it is then informed to the consumer. Because in this regard, as a consumer, how was I supposed to know that this will be charged to me? It was not informed. Problem number one again. Now moving on again, there is a flaws or a loophole when we look into the case whereby the information, whereby when your consumer tells you to delete the SMS, that already entitles fraud, corruption, you name it, because and it's not done in a documented format or professional manner, which already shows that they are violating the rights of the consumer in terms of abuse. Because no one, it's wrong for the shop to just tell you that you can. Practices can be found with either expression or implied representation. A seller stating that a household is new and irregardless, the list goes on. But we're looking at the case of deception. Just to summarize that is that in this regard is that the consumer in Namibia was deceived in a sense that he was engaging, for example, when you are engaging with me and you tell me that you want to pay by cash, and then my boss sends you a bank statement that you owe, or sorry, a voucher, yes, cost that you owe on your account. Already I have deceived you. That's another violation. And then the last one is abuse. As to conclude, there's a lot of abuse happening here. As a consumer, I'm not sure if you'll sleep in peace because you ask yourself, you paid by cash, where did that money go? Now you have to face legal charges. How do you then go through this process of getting a lawyer to sustain you? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Group 2, then we have the last group. Okay, treating you as your business. If you demand that they respect your right, that's also perhaps what we expect them to do. Because when we say we don't have a law in or consumer rights law in Namibia, what we actually mean is it depends. If you have some capacity to understand the transaction, power base, you can fend for yourself because you can still demand, and some of them will recognize your rights and treat you fairly. But if you are somehow not educated about things, they will ill-treat you and get away with it. But somebody who has the resources and who has some understanding, they can still take them to court if it is worth, and if they are justified, they can win the case. But then the issue is, if you buy a milk and it's rotten, is it worth paying 70,000 or 100,000 if we can pay for whatever it refuse to give you new ones? That's the other issue. So that's why we need recourse mechanisms, which takes us to the next subject on our program. But I will not really give you the answer to the case study that we have. At the end of the day, maybe I can just mention when we get there, and you understand what we could do in a case like that. So I'm not sure if you have had the chance to look at the UN guidelines. Remind me, were we going to send them in advance? Okay. Okay. So some of you are aware about the UN consumer rights. Basically, maybe what I can mention is these are basically guidelines as provided for by UNCTAD. UNCTAD is the United Nations, one of the bodies within the UN system that deals with trade and development issues. It includes consumer rights. They meet in Geneva, and these are basically government officials, Ministry of Trade in our case. They will meet other Ministry of Trade officials from other countries, and then they will say, no, consumers have this and that right, and those will be the guidelines. It's not necessarily something for which a business can be taken to task. It's principles, so that these governments can use those to implement or create their own policies. That is the expectation. So one such right is the right to safety. When you buy a product, you should not be injured or die from that product or the use thereof. And unfortunately, in poorer countries, sometimes you buy a product and you can die from it. Even the cars that we are driving here, the safety standards are way below what the Europeans and the US and others expect, and the Japanese maybe expect. So the same Toyota or Volkswagen is selling cars all over the world, but the safety standards are different. And the reason why it's different is one, maybe we cannot afford the extra safety measures. Or, like I said, maybe we don't really understand that we need to be safe to travel from this place to the other, and we don't demand. And the other societies and governments tell these manufacturers, when we drive in a car, we don't want to drive. Maybe that's just one example. And the other one is, some of you mentioned already, is the right to choose. You must not compare or to buy a product from this shop or that shop or services. Like the case that we had. But if they say you bought the voucher, and you see that, I don't know if you understand it in that context. In the past, people would just write a letter and give to their spouse or kid to go and buy on their account. And then the owner would still pay. It's more or less the same thing. But you don't really, when they say you bought an e-voucher, it's not like you have taken get something from the shop. Normally, when you buy at the shop, you pay and you get something in even clothing, or you can get a haircut. You get something for the amount that you pay. But in this case, you didn't get anything. But they will come back, they are saying, that 2,500, you must pay us. They don't want to cancel. So I hope we understood it in that context. And then the right to be informed. Like I told you, some of us in the room are well informed. Sometimes you mentioned the 5 reasons. So you have a right to be informed in advance what you're putting yourself into. Not for somebody to come back and say, yeah, but we don't really appreciate that 5 because they can hide a lot of things. And most of us cannot really read or understand the legal language. So they must tell us in a language that we understand and in a fashion that we understand and comprehend those things. If you have a question as I'm going, please feel free to just raise your hand and get back to the chance. Okay, I don't know where to start. Just be brief because we are waiting a lot of
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Franz. I think for me, maybe what I want to add to the conversation is in reference to consumer rights. Maybe I think I'm speaking as an activist, somebody who truly believes in the power of activism. I would say maybe what you should strive for as a person is to seriously take responsibility and seriously take obligations seriously. Why am I saying this? So if we have to understand the power of activism and to correct the market mechanism as it functions, there are some things that we need to do. I want to give you a practical example of what is happening in Rundu. Water, the town for some time, citizens or residents, they don't have water. And they end up going to fetch water at the river. And there's somebody who was attacked by crocodile and things like that. But when you hear the response of the Ministry of Environment and even what they offer to pay, it's about 10,000. So now, where do you situate right in that case? So you have an entity that's supposed to provide power. Maybe they are those who do not pay their account. The town was, the water or the electricity was cut off. Those who have taken the responsibility were affected. Those who now needed to feed themselves and their family, they take the risk to go to the river. And then you have such a situation. Now, this is where I'm talking about the question of responsibility and obligation for us to correct market mechanism. This animal of price and right will always be there. It's just how we are going to handle it. We just have to find a way how best to handle this. I think maybe with time I will still have the discussion, but I will still come back to this very later. Thank you.
Human rights apply to the African context because, mind you, those rights are probably drafted by Europeans and Americans. Now, I just wanted to find out how do they apply to the African context. Question number 2 is but as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, we don't have consumer laws or consumer rights laws in Namibia, then should my rights as a consumer be violated? Um, how will I achieve justice if we don't have such laws? How will I as a consumer achieve justice? Thank you. The rest of the day.
Okay, I'll try to keep it brief and private level. Just also in relation to the United Nations document. We've read different documents and we realized that the government of Namibia is actually in bed with foreign investors. So they tend to, the foreign investors, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Europeans, whatever, they tend to sell outdated products to Namibia. Like you mentioned, cars that release unprecedented gas and affect our health. Is there a working document that protects the Namibian consumers from such products? Even clothes earrings. I've seen ladies buy earrings from China shop and their ears are swollen up because these things the government doesn't want to sort of regulate because they're inventing, they're sort of getting something out of it. The other one, that something that worries me a lot is the insurance industry. The terms and conditions, you mentioned something like terms and conditions of a product. When you are taking out a life cover for your mom or your dad, like let's say a funeral, the language that is used in this particular paper is not with Guerrero Freddy, for example, I'm here from Guerrero Freddy. I don't understand some of the legal terms and conditions and legal language sometimes. What is the government, since you guys on our record you admitted that you do engage the ministries and everyone, what is the way forward in terms of clarifying some of these terms and conditions? Because people don't understand. They are just forced, you're desperate, you see your mom is 18, you need this funeral cover, you don't know what is it for you. And you just sign, and the other guy on the other side wants his commission. So if you intend to deceive you. The last question, I'm glad that Mr. Banana is here. It's something that is very, very much close to my heart, is music industry. The artists in Namibia, the producing music, every shipping, I go to shippings a lot, I take a lot from time to time. I go to Jackpot, Jukebox. Their music is there. What is protecting these artists? I know this sounds maybe sort of customer, sort of consumer also, maybe musicians are consumers. For them to get their little money for their city that is being played in every shipping. Because NASCAR has failed, is a failed project of the Ministry of Basic Education. What is in place to protect the artists? Because I don't want to have a NASCAR. NASCAR is a money making association that I want to say. Yeah, that's what I just wanted to ask.
Apart from the UNGC, actually I can go to a consumer and be protected. For instance, if I buy something from Switzerland or France or Spain or someone and their product is faulty and I'm injured here, can I legally go to an international body apart from them that can protect me?
You have a doorkeeper, any shop, the security. If anything is lost in my store, they sue the security company. Who's the doorkeeper of our country? Is the question. Anything comes in our country must be checked, medicine, everything, so that we can sue or put the person who's the doorkeeper, challenge them in the court. That I happen to buy this and my health is not okay. Who allowed these clothes to enter Namibia? Is the doorkeeper of Namibia. Because anything comes in Namibia or being used by Namibia must be checked by a doorkeeper of Namibia. So the country is controlled and there is a mechanism in place for the country to protect the citizens. So if the doorkeeper of this country must be checked. We cannot be connected to South somebody phoning me from South Africa. So it means Namibia is not controlled, it's not a country. And we phoned from Cape Town by a South African about money. What is our system of Namibia to control who is phoning a Namibian? So why are we having passports? We could have South African passports. So something is wrong with controlling our system of our country to protect our citizens. It's the doorkeeper of our country. And policies and everything is not right to control and to protect the rights of the Namibians. It's where I'm blaming. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe that's it. On the provider when it comes to terms and conditions. Should the consumer be liable to find out what the terms and conditions are before they consume the product, or is it the provider's responsibility to do that? Even if you don't pay on time to cut your water, they are not, according to the international principle, somebody did that. In some countries, they outsource this provision of water to private companies. And they suspended water to somebody's house or place in Netherlands. And they were taken to court. And they cannot, according to these international laws, prevent somebody from having water, whether they pay or not. So what they did was maybe just reduce the amount of water you can get a day. And I think the only weakness in our country is somebody mentioned the doorkeeper, who is allowed these funny practices from the businesses in our country. Partly, it's a question of politics. As you know, those people sitting in parliament making the laws, 90% of them, they probably have some kind of investment somewhere, whether it's insurance, farming. I mean, you can mention. So they are conflicted. They are not necessarily, they are supposed to protect public interest, which includes the rights of consumers. But they are also farmers. I don't want to mention this. It doesn't matter whether they are from the ruling party or opposition. Most of them have interests of some kind in the economy. So it's not in their interest to protect consumers, so they are conflicted. So that's number two. One is government, two is MPs, and gladly, unfortunately, it's also our fault. Because we allow them to do those things. But if we demand, if you sit in parliament, I want to know, where are you farming? Are you farming with goats? How many cattle do you have? This kind of thing. So then you know, when the price of meat is expensive, that this person is not benefiting. Because if he's farming, he expects a lot of money from consumers for his investing. So that was our fault. Maybe one day we can start demanding.
In cars from Japan, that contract couldn't happen because the leaders are involved, so it went through, is approved. So this contract must not be signed by individual people. It must go through a certain structure. We control that. Who is signing this? Who is involved? From a different panel, not from the same panel from the parliament. The parliament needs also to be controlled. We cannot leave the parliament to own the country, or the president to own the country. The president is to serve the people for a term, for a certain term, not to own the country in decision making. The decision still lies with the people of Namibia, who are the voters.
We as voters give we're basically giving away our rights to the politicians sitting in power. So that means that we don't actually have a right to say because our rights have already been signed away. They've already been, because they're the ones benefiting from us, we're not the ones benefiting from this. We're actually just a stepping stone down the line. We're not getting what we're supposed to get because they want to benefit from this. I just wanted to clarify, is that basically how you're saying it?
No, I just want to make it clear that there should be a proper voters education. Why are we voting? That part is not clear. Why are we voting? We are voting to sign off the country, or what are we voting for? We are voting for a person to serve us, to be, not us to serve that person. That person must serve us. We are putting it differently, like Jesus came to serve us, to wash our feet. Those guys in the parliament have to wash the feet of the people of Namibia. That is the position they have to put themselves. Maybe it must be made clear with the educational setup of the electoral commission must also put educational part of voters' right to be clear when they mobilize people to vote that you are going to vote for this kind of reason, but not to give over the country. When we vote, it's not to give over the country to that person we are voting in power. No, that person must still listen to us, what we want, and also to make better life for us. That's why we are voting that person in power, to serve us. Just before you. Okay. The young boy, not neglect the question we asked. Who can be approached when these challenges are facing us? My cousin here in Namibia of all who paper here, talking about HMS schools, and it's also touching on us being the change that people want, us to be involved, to be trained. So, as a young boy, I hope you register for the school because I see the deadline has passed. It's just that announcement. Very important that you join the school and be that change because we can go to elections how we want to. My senior, they talk about we don't even know what we vote, but at least let's start somewhere. Let's be activists. So, young man, you can join the school.
Yeah, if I'm not confused, problem. Yeah, I said I'm not so sure we have a problem in assuming it's dealing with United Nations there was a comment on us basically when it comes to that we make our own calls whether we should be carried on before we go international. I think Namibia is the team of the whole SDGs, SDG 6 talks about water exploitation. The United Nations General Assembly also has a resolution on water as a basic human right. So the moment when you ratify an international convention or you accept the resolution, then kind of these laws are domesticated, it becomes part of the fabric of international laws. And therefore it can be implemented in Namibia. It can be litigated upon the laws. So if it is accepted at the international forum and we are party to such agreements, then we can litigate on it. Even if the law of the municipality here says cut what I don't pay, but the international instrument says you should not cut, you use the international instrument because the country is part of the system. That's all I want to say.
I'll come back to you.
I just want to say something quickly. But my brother there has eaten my words. My brother here has eaten all the words that I wanted to say. But I think from everything that we have stated now, it is clear that there is need for activism for the masses.
Currently, for example, we are consumers of vaccines through the skin, and some are known to cause problems. But as we speak right now, the Minister of Health is still in office. We have not, even, there's no uprising against some of the things that they have allowed on our behalf to come into the country. So you see, the problem is also us when the consciousness of the people is not awakened to say, this is what we want to take, this is not what we don't want. Then those of us will continue to do harm on our behalf. Just quickly.
These people, these people think we are associated with someone, all that kind of people. That person is talking too much about it. As per the question of this young man also here, the question says, how do we keep our gatekeepers accountable? On what grounds? What is on what grounds? And the Constitution is one of the safeguards. The safeguard says, our Constitution answers the question, why are we demanding for the provision of economic safety nets? And this is where the issue of BIT is coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that through the 2021 SON, our head of state went public in Parliament saying that he's going to agree for DIG. And yet, up to now, the young people, the unemployed, haven't benefited. We are not keeping our gatekeepers accountable. Why are we demanding the provision of economic safety net? The Constitution is giving us, Mr. Michael, please refer us to the clause in the Constitution that is guaranteeing the Namibian people as the consumer a right to economic safety. Thank you.
Mr. Michael, if you allow, I'd just like to assist answering some of the questions, starting from the first of the United Nations, whereby you asked why do we subscribe to policies of the United Nations, such as the issue of water. Number one is that I would like us to derive from Namibia's foreign policy. The reason why international organizations have a lot of say in our matters is that it's because we've subscribed to them. And then, given that we've subscribed to them, we are just like duplicating copies from them. And why I then say this, going to our policy, that is where the main fundamental problem is that our policy in United States that promote international cooperation, peace and security. So meaning that anything, they are promoting things that are outside. This is why we see that there is limited interest within Namibia. And a class switch or something we can reflect from is America's foreign policy. They speak about America's interest first, American people. We do not have something that says Namibia's interest first. This is why certain things do not move. Going on, when we speak about the World Health Organization, as you spoke about the vaccines, is that because it's like we fear to lose the benefit of certain medication, so we just follow. It's like when someone says, I'll give you shelter in the house. So even if they violate you, the question comes, are you going to leave and have no shelter and whatnot? So before we leave, we need to then empower ourselves to leave this format. And then the other issue was pointed out by the sir from the Public People's Union. Am I correct? Yes, my apologies. Whereby you then spoke about the United Nations as being the head, and if the United Nations rules or laws have been set, why don't we comply with them? The problem comes in is that there are clusters that have been set on how things are to be done, whereby we have African Union and SADC. So in order for us to then achieve some of these things, because now we report to SADC, because the UN has human rights running, but then now they think that SADC might be running these things in our favor. And then lastly is the issue of the gatekeeper. In my perspective or view is that the gatekeeper is not operating to the document that he or she understands. This is why we keep on fading and fading. And I feel that what we need to basically fight for is then to see these policies, do they speak volume to us? Should we subscribe to whatever we're subscribing to as activists that have to emancipate and liberate people within our nation? That is my view.
One day is to take responsibility. Is to take responsibility seriously. And what does it mean really to take responsibility? Personally, I don't subscribe to the idea that gatekeeper or I don't subscribe to that idea. I subscribe to the responsibility. If we given your responsibility, that I trust you that the nation is given you responsibility, that you do your best to get that responsibility. And I should not be worried or doubting you. I should trust you that you understand what you have and you carry it at the best of your ability. That is the responsibility. That's for me how I can see the manner in which I try to bring my organization to the table. Honestly, we have so many inadequacies. Whether it's a minister, whether it's a president, whether it's ourselves. Ourselves here. Policies that we have, laws that we have, they are plenty, they are many. You can add law, you can pass law and law in all these policies are meaningless. If you yourself you don't translate those laws in your action, in your ability, in how you behave, telling the truth, lying to people, you are misguiding the nation. Not doing your responsibility, or taking your responsibility, you are misguiding the nation. Therefore, even if you have a good law, it cannot translate to the way that we ought to carry forward to transform society. For me, let's understand what it means to take responsibility. And if we all embody, encapsulate this idea of doing the best where you are deployed, we move society forward. I think for me that is the message I want to hammer every now and then. I have in mind. Thank you.
But rich people are not. Guidelines which for all of us, starting from the president until down, all of us, we must live under those guidelines. As we are living under the 10 commandments of God, all of us, including the pastors. So you are not big, you are not special. All of us are under that. I think the guidelines which guide us like the Constitution should not be for certain people in a society. The Constitution who will see that if the president do wrong, where do you take the president? Where to court? How can a president from Katutura knows that you have to challenge the president to the court? They don't know even how the court functions. People in Katutura, they don't know how the court functions. Did they ever had lessons how the court functions? How structures of this government function? They only know how to vote. These are things which is not proper done for a country to be run proper, because people are not educated how a country is being run. The institutions who are functioning in the country, how they are run, people are not educated on that. People just go there and campaign for them to be elected. It ends up there. Now, who is going to judge? For me, my problem, I am a freedom fighter. I joined soccer when I was 17 years in 1974. I'm talking from experience. I fought for the people of this country. I didn't fight for a person to own this country. I fought for people to own the country. Not for a person to become rich. For the people to become rich. That is I want to make it clear that things are not done proper. That's why we, the people, are complaining. How do we avoid, for example, avoid demonstration in a country like Namibia? We should avoid it. But if we do it proper, people not to demonstrate. If we inform the people, people are not informed. Information flowing is not proper done. That's why they are demonstrating to hear how they are treated or how better they want to be treated. How can we avoid a problem, people to go on the street to demonstrate? Let's treat them proper. We don't talk to God through demonstration. We pray every day. We complain, we talk to God because there is a platform. A platform to talk to God is through prayer. What is a platform for me to talk to the president? Can I see the president anytime as an American, as a voter?
The buy Japanese car after 2 years to get problems. The cries, our people are getting sick. Lung cancer and other diseases from these gases that are being released by these Japanese cars. We are not saying don't buy a Japanese car. We are saying buy a Japanese car that basically will protect the consumer. But people do not just go out there to just pray without action. I believe in prayer, but I also believe in action. We can all pray until December. But don't and they say I speak, but they don't do anything actually. So the fear is that yes, let's act as leaders. But the main thing that we are crying is education or information flow, as my senior alluded. Our people documents is written in English. Our people don't read English. 90% of the Namibian population, educated ones, are less than 30%. Every document, even this thing is considered English, conducted in English, so they can never invite a human person here. Never. They want to do that. They can never invite somebody here in pregnant. There's no one to translate. So a lot of blockage in terms of information flow is a serious problem. Not about just let's just be individual, don't let the gatekeepers. We have to mind the gatekeepers. We have to educate our people about election. We keep one part of office and we bring people who want to work.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to answer one of my brother's question here about the earrings that Chinatown is selling. I just want to say that us as women, we are also, gonna say, we know that if we buy these cheap things, we are actually going to have infection upon our ears. But we ignore these things because we see that at Chinatown things are very cheap. And you know that pharmacies are selling 99 character, which is like healthy to your ears for you not to swallow, your ears not to swallow up. And then sometimes we run to Chinatown because we know that things are cheaper there, and we are selling like our own skin to be infected because of fashion. Because I feel that fashion have taken over this youth, and we don't care about our health. We care about our beauty. That no, I want to look beautiful. If I buy this piece of earring and put it on my ear, I don't care that my ear is going to swell up, it's going to have infection, as long as I'm going to look beautiful. And there are sometimes we see that Chinatown is also selling this fashion lashes and what the sorry glasses like you know that exactly your eyes are 100% perfect, and then you are going to buy these glasses that as if your eyes are sick, like you are having because of fashion, and then later on you see that you are having your eyes are having
they are itching and you are feeling that they are scent in your eyes because of beauty. You are killing yourself because of beauty. You are selling yourself because of beauty. So there's also a difference because we know that government, they see that no, we brought Chinatown here because of people are poor. They cannot afford this, but it's the only way for our people to survive. They don't see that no, we are killing our people because of this, but because of yeah.
That they will comrade. Let me say. I am 19 years old. 19 years old. Yes. And I myself have dedicated myself not to see problems. I see problem as opportunity. Till I came up with an NGO with my brothers here, Congress Association. What we do, we teach my young people, our young people, because they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's a lie. So if I'm here and I'm here to stand in front of grown-ups like this, feel like I mean, but as young people, they process they process the information and they practice it. All people they can't practice it. That's why most of us here are complaining. All the young people that are group, we have dedicated our life to we teach rule of law, advocacy, and voters education to our young people. And we got the knowledge from NID, Namibia Institute for Democracy, and we go around to teach our young people the stuff that started us doing here. So I mean, we are doing something. It's not something rights are not given. We are born with it. So they must find a way to solve. For example, how do we get water? We can tell where does water come from? Who buys water? It comes with either rain or it's there in the ocean. It's free. The raw water is free. It flows in the river. Somebody is picking up and putting in the bag and they charge you. And we think, I know what we must be charged because it costs. No, but they got it for free. And now they are paying themselves 2 million per annum. And now you must pay for that salary and gas and those things. You also asked about the principles of state policy, the welfare of the people. It's under Article 95. And if you also go to Article 98, Namibia is not supposed to be a capitalist system. But then we are not supposed to be. Yeah. And we are not also supposed to be running a capitalist system. If you look at Article 91, it's supposed to be mixed. But I don't want to hammer too much on the question of maybe we can continue with the rest of the guidelines. The young man, I think he left the room when we asked, what are we to do if government is violating our rights as consumers? Where do we go? Because under the current consumer protection policy, we have to go to what if government is the problem? It's a valid question. In fact, we are even asking what happens to our rights if we are compelled to take vaccine into our bodies. And those are, I mean, if you are not, if the police or the army is not holding you down to put that thing into you, why do you allow it? That's the other question. We also have responsibility with what happens to our bodies. And we could just finish the rest of the guidelines. I don't know whether itself. They have what they call the financial sector strategy. That one is managed by government through Ministry of Finance and Bank of Namibia, whereby the government thinks people don't have information or they are not educated about their rights as it pertains to financial transactions, for example, banking and that kind of thing. But we have been campaigning over the years. We started talking about these things since 2005. We still don't have a comprehensive consumer protection law. At least in South Africa, they developed their own their consumer protection law. Somebody mentioned we don't understand English, even if you speak English. Fortunately, they also have their language, and they have many official languages in South Africa. But as we said, these things we allow as Namibians. But the issue, if you want people to have land and cheap houses, the right place to start in is to disrupt the financial system in the current form. That's what we need to do. We have monetary policy, Bank of Namibia, fiscal policy, government. They are only there, or at least we can see from their actions and inactions that they are protecting the current state of affairs. So if you want to have people, even these things that we're talking about, access to water or right to water, these are things that the current gatekeepers, as you mentioned, we will not allow. But the good thing perhaps is we are gathered here as activists, and some of us will have the guts. Because there's one thing to be activist or to refer to yourself as activist, but you must also be clean. There's no point in saying vote for me or pretending to be an activist for the people, but you're also collaborating with this or that political whatever. Because you get compromised. If you believe in something, you must stand for it. Otherwise, if you join the political parliamentarian, they will give you something on the side, or even a piece of land, and then you become quiet. And the other thing is, if you don't pay, okay, we'll allow questions a bit later. Let me first quickly, because I've been trouble with my colleague. The other thing is, if you don't pay your bills, the one thing, because we also have responsibilities as consumers. If you don't, or if you don't intend to pay back the money, like the other president, don't take the money. Don't accept credit. Because if you accept credit, if you borrow money, even if you borrow, you must pay back that money. So you must have the ability to pay back. Government will pay some of it. If you say yes, government says no, we can't afford to pay it yourself. What did the farmers do? Then they said that then we are not going to pay them water. We use the water for free. What happened to them? You can guess. Nothing. So that's how the system works. If you are rich, you are educated, or you have connections, you get things done. You even if it is illegal. Those are some of the questions, but you see, the problem is also us. Some people were saying land, we need land, we'll even take it ourselves. But what if they tell us they record the government? They brought the best leaders. And somebody was saying they were supposed to keep marching. But people go to State House, they are offered good food, 5-star treatment. I don't know if it counts, but what happens when people become hate back or not standing for what they said initially should happen? So these are some of the issues. With regard to NAMPISA, they are not necessarily funded like the Sunlands and all beaches. The way they are funded is when you take out a funeral benefit or policy, you have to pay from that $100, $19.85. So it's you, the consumer, who's funding the visa. Unlike other SOEs. So they are the ones who are actually supposed to fight for us. But unfortunately, they are also captured by the industry. Well, if I need to move over to the communications, where there's also some protection under the Communications Act. I want to show you how to protect yourself because as activists, we see things not happening. If there's sewage water flowing or the place is dirty, and you know City of Ventura is collecting money, then we see now this is something that must be corrected. And then we start to speak up, maybe mobilize other friends. But what we also need to do is to try and educate ourselves where possible. If there is a law, try and read the law. I mean, if you have a computer cell phone, you can download it from the internet and you see there, mostly in PDF, you can search for consumer rights or user whatever, and read the provision. If we had a bit more time, I would have shown you. But if MTC, if you are talking to somebody, your mother or your brother, and all of a sudden the call is just end, that should not happen. You are protected supposedly. So now MTC must be held accountable for doing that. Because MTC and GMOs who else is providing mobile services in Namibia, telephone services? We know. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, TMO, yeah, those ones. But the problem is, these companies are also government-owned companies, they are government companies. And they don't compete because MTC and Telecom is owned by the same company that also owns MTC, Telecom, Nampos. They are all owned by ABTH, the holding company, which is owned by government. So that's why we are still paying a lot of money. And I hear people talking about social media. We are paying too much money to be on Facebook and these things. Especially if these companies are owned by the government. Where's the money going? Why do they need so much? And on top of that, you are still paying VAT. Government is also coming to take money. And all of these things we allow them. Things we should question. In fact, in my view, there's supposed to be free data all over Namibia. So that children can use it in school. I mean, other things, other purposes, unethical and immoral purposes, they can block it. But data must be free. That's the view. But if you recently, I think a month ago, so there was a time when we couldn't make calls. The network was just too busy.
In general, we find public office bearers and ministers who refuse to provide information when they are approached, like on a certain topic. And my question is there a certain like law within the constitution that forces these people to withhold information or not? Because I feel like by doing so, they are depriving the country of valuable information. Question number 2 is on the. The first question is there a law in the Namibian constitution that what's the words? It sort of prevents public office bearers and ministers from providing information when they are approached. Yeah. So second question is regarding the current events that have been happening between MTC and MTN from South Africa, whereby MTC is refusing to share their infrastructure. Does MTC have the constitutional right to refuse to provide their infrastructure? And the last question, just the last one, is
that very often we see social media companies, these big social media companies, take our data as consumers and share it. What is the Namibian government doing to prevent this? Because I feel like our data is being shared and which sort of invades privacy. What is the Namibian government doing to prevent this sort of privacy invasion by these big social media companies? What the ministers is
How do we address this issue that we are talking about? And maybe also consumer protection itself, where does it situate? How does it operate? That framework is embedded in the market. And earlier on I was making a point of market mechanism. Now, whether MTC allow the other one, the competitor, to share the platform or the infrastructure, you must understand this consumer right that we are claiming, this consumer right that we want, is also embedded in market mechanism, the supply and demand, basically. So, who's offering a better service, a better product, a better alternative? That thing play a role. And even now, if the ministry or if each of the states or you yourself as a citizen, you make up your mind what service is convenient for you, what product do you want. So, but I still feel the aspect of communication, it's so vital. It's just how we situate this to really understand. I try to bring in the dimension of market mechanism because I feel like it plays a role. In any way, it's even supreme to what the state can regulate. Market itself as it is. It's supreme in this market, in the area of supply and demand. So we must also, in questioning this, let's not leave that one. It plays a major role in understanding the ecosystem of market and pricing and service distribution. It plays a role.
Before I come to you, let me quickly respond to the question. You see, these radio stations and what have you, they need a license. Somebody must give you a license, and for that you must meet certain criteria. Now, some of the reasons why MTC and Telecom don't have competitors from other countries, if investors come, the majority shareholding must be Namibian. Now, if somebody wants to come from another country and they want to establish a company and they only must get 49%, that is also giving people away. And that's why these FTCs and things misbehave. So it's not really the market, but the regulations. Government, with its own design, are keeping other investors away. And as consumers, we feel the consequences.
To me, I see the only professional communication practitioner, even when a person gets married or want to get married. It's where you see people get serious, they call a serious meeting with them. Otherwise, there is no other platform. It's only a marriage. Coming to government, the only time they communicate is the election time. Other time, they are not interested to communicate the information to the society. Look there, we have embassies. What are they doing? Do they communicate what they are doing? What opportunities are there for us as Namibians? It's only other foreigners coming in our country and do whatever they want to do, but we have never seen Namibians going to open a shop in London, for example, or in China, open a shop. No Namibian.
Next to Brian, who gives this social media access and the right to buy
personal details. The moment you click on an agree tab, if you are online, and you didn't read all those 57 points, because you just want to get to install that application to play a game or download something, you are conceding your right for that company to have access to whatever site you go, wherever you walk, whoever you take a picture of, whoever you send an email to. So the problem is not whether we are having the right not to give these companies access to our information. The problem really is how protected are we after we have given this company the right by saying that I only give you, company A, the right to my information and not to everyone else. So with cybersecurity in Africa, we are very, very poorly protected. And that is part of cybersecurity. So consumerism is one of our challenges as Africans, that we can do whatever we can, point fingers to the politicians. The problem is not the politicians. The problem is ourselves not understanding how we allow corporations to have access to exploit our demands and appetites. If you don't click agree, that company will not know you like Nike. So they will not put up posters and give photos of Nike every time you're online. They will not send you SMSs of Nike sales. They do that because you allow them when you click agree. So let us be conscious on what we agree on when we sign or when we click on online.
Beneficiary of your money and consumer. You're giving me money, so now when you go and publish my name without my consent, it's a violation of my consumer rights. How? You said rightfully it's a contract between two individuals. So if you attempt to breach the contract by publishing my name, it's actually a breach of contract. I'm not a lawyer, but I think what is happening is I don't agree.
That's what you see, Brian, I think a week or so, I even put something on Facebook regarding this. The point of departure for me is responsibility. One, if, and we must really take responsibility at the national scale now. You are a citizen, you are a student, you are a young person. The institution accords you an opportunity to go study. It provides funds for you to study. Upon your completion of your study, maybe you are working. Some scenario, people are working and they're not making any effort to pay back. If you are perhaps not working, one can make arrangement for the institution. So, honestly, as an activist, if you want, my approach of activism is serious responsibility because society all over the world is transformed by activists. Jesus was an activist. Marx was an activist. Every person that transforms society is an activist. And obligation is the core of activism. So why would you want to give the same opportunity that were granted to the next person to benefit? So I think this is also a question of, we were very out there making a point of institution, financial institution, taking your name to what is ICT, because you failed. They broke list your name. Why are they doing that? You see, and that's what so you think that because you have not paid your due, now they blacklist your name. So that next time people know that you are not a clean person when it comes to payment. So you have to redeem yourself, man. Okay, let me yes, afternoon. I have you hearing or debating. Let me come in and serve. The challenge here is
leadership in NASA. I'll go okay with the student if they don't want to pay back the money. Why? We don't have leadership in this country. NASA itself already is in chaos. How can you have two directors? There are two CEOs who are earning much of money. They need to put the house in order first. If they want, how can you milk people on the ground? And that is a public money. NASA is in the mess. It needs to correct itself first. Then we can now go to students say, pay back, but now is the mess. Leadership first.
A comment. My colleague here has said how we have to be a responsible citizen and whatever. If I mention money, we are talking about students. But what about the other money stolen and eaten and whatever? Why are we not demanding those people to pay our money back? We have SMEs, speak about mothers. No, the NASA and two directors in rescue or FDs. Now we see NASA is doing, but NASA started with this, what do you call it? We started with publishing names, and then they are now at what? Furnitures, business, management money, and whatever, because they have lawyers. And our justice system is not 100%. You see, yeah, when the GFP money was eaten, stolen, or whatever, the only person who stood up there was oh, I'm staying in Havana. When you travel in the community, they say, hey, they come away. You know, problems and what have you. When Jogo started, you remember there was a demonstration the 1st of July, June. You remember? And I was traveling in the communities. We saw, I don't want to go there. I don't know. It's a tendency in Namibia where I don't know, people are afraid of me. I respect it.
You can prevent yourself from
Okay, people are always just talking about those who are just walking. Okay, we are just talking about those who are not working. Why don't we address those that are working and are not paying? Why are they being justified? And the ones that are not working but are trying to pay are being unjustified. Come on, guys, it's like we are switching. The people that are supposed to be wrong are correct. The people that are supposed to be correct are wrong.
It's absolutely inspiring this morning. I think from everybody's input and commentary, it's very clear that the number one thing that must happen is civic participation. We need to become a lot more active citizens in how the country is run, in what decisions are being made, how they affect us, and what needs to happen. I mean, not all grown-ups want to demonstrate or march down the street, but where the community gatherings in the school and the ball and stuff like that. So there's a lot more that can be done if we come together to be able to have this discussion like we're having it on so many issues that are affecting us. But can we see I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer, but let me see how information makes you are assuming, or some people assume, that when your name is published, now NASDAQ must prove one thing. Is it in the public interest that your name is published? In my view, it's in public interest because the funds you are alleged to have used are public funds. So the public has a right to know. Two, did you take that money with the agreement and intention to pay. If they can prove that that was the agreement, you don't have a case. But if you don't have money, it was secure.
Right. Exactly. It's crazy. And I think Michael knows why the food prices are increasing. And that there could be control, like you said, could be control if people want it. But nobody's interested in us. They are not here to save us. That's why they insist that the food prices increase that much. And also that when the Bank of Namibia decided that the repo rate would remain the same, which means that the cost of borrowing money will be at the same level as it's been for the past few years. The bank decided to increase bank charges. But nobody said anything about this. Not even the government, like telling the banks, no, you cannot increase your bank rates. Because people are already suffering, people are struggling. Yeah, the bank charges went up, maybe not great. Yeah, please.
I've only allowed two more, and then we will have
I'm not going to ask. I wanted to ask the House. Who can remember after independence the first corruption case? And the borehole drilling in the north, remember? No, I'm asking Banana. You people would have stood up there and say it's not what we fought for, is it? I don't know, it's not fair. Just there. This was in 1992. There. That's part of the gatekeeper. You see?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I want to talk about nowadays people they are facing the problem of the for the Namibian. Yeah. Yes, I understand what it says. But to me,
Where is the money going? Because money is our paying, but they are not noticing. Things are right in front of us, but we just can't see.
Okay, jump shoot. Jump shoot.
What I wanted to say, the food is controlled by the government. They are the ones who need to control how much should this go so people can afford it. So, yeah, that's all what I wanted to say.
the government needs to subsidize.
I think we have to think about that sometimes. Government have to subsidize like the milk, the rice, the sugar. They certain goods government can subsidize so that people can survive from. Because these companies who are selling food in Nigeria, they are not Namibians. So they want their money. So in between the government have to come in and subsidize the food that we are subsidizing for us. We've been working in the government to buy a house and all that. We've been subsidized by the government. Why not food?
The food is waiting. I love the debate of today. It's much more better than last time. But the problem about we are activists. An activist gradually he graduates after here. What's your next stage? We are a politician. You are sitting in parliament and you will repeat what they are repeating. Here you talk like you own everything, like, yeah, I'm the man of Martin Luther King. You get into power, repeat the same mistake. And that's with all political parties. They will talk. When they get into power, I don't know what they spoke about, but
people start going somewhere else. I mean, activists are good in hard times, but when they get what they want, and they're just useless as politicians.
That is the way.
Okay, thank you. I'm listening to the conversation this all the day. But sometimes as Namibians we are realistic. We are not true to ourselves in certain things. I just listen to where we are throwing stones towards the government. The question is, what have we done? Is there anybody that was shot because he stood up for the truth in public? Or he just sit and talk in conference hall like this one? And out of this, then we get silence. So imagine I can take an example. Sometimes yes, we say we need to give the chance to the Namibians to flourish in business sectors. But sometimes we have a poultry industry or company where we say, okay, let's talk we're importing the chickens from South Africa. How expensive, look at how expensive is chicken in Namibia. It's compared to the one that is coming from South Africa. Are we being realistic? We say, okay, let's employ the Namibians. We should stop the Chinese to come and take over. But then, as Namibians, we're so lazy that we end up compared to if you have to pay the Chinese, that's what we give 24/7. We are just so active in bars and cafes. That's where we are. That's my opinion. So let's say that. So we sometimes need to be realistic. If really we have to call a spade. So we are also shooting ourselves in the foot. So as activists, we should not only activists just inside the conference hall, then from there we die silent or I mean certain things really, let us be realistic of certain things. We should not just, we need to give a room to ourselves. Okay, let's look back in ourselves. We are just also hindering our progress as Namibians. So some of the things, that's why also we need to educate our community. We need to educate ourselves. Where we are also failing. Because these people that are in charge of running the country, we are the ones who didn't survey. But after that, we are not held themselves responsible. We sit and we watch while the ship is sinking. We are there, we have been there. We are also narrating, oh, this year this happened. What have we done to stop the ship from sinking? We are given opportunities to do that. Through free elections or general elections, that's one platform that we can do. We can also raise our concern. We stood up and we say enough is enough to this, but we are not doing that. So please, let's also be realistic. As activists, this must come to the end.
Thanks so much for being here for this meeting. The thing is, we in Namibia, we don't like one another. The problem, we voting a long leaders. Our vote that we voting a long leaders who in environment us, they are just there for salary, that's all. And the thing is, when I talk before we kill me, they will kill me, I don't care. Member of Parliament, they are there for us, but they are not doing their job. We vote for them. They are just there to have a nice salary. They forget they are from the wealthy, from the different areas. I'm from Oshokode. When are you from Oshokode? When are people here? We should go from there for us. When our president, I'm from Oshokode, we have our councillor, Member Parliament, models is there. He worked very well. That's why he qualified to be in a parliament. And I don't know if he working very well now. The way he was working was a cancer. I don't know now because he's there in parliament now. I don't hate him, but at least if you go where I want everything. I'm not saying that we have everything.
SWAPO say we have all the money. No, I'm not saying like that. When we talk through things, people will kill you in guns, which is not unnecessary.
Good. Thank you. There's only one reason why I like France. Very honest. It's always been colors. I don't have time for people who come in a sheep skin and pretend they are neutral and they are swappers. So, young friend, first thing you are saying, if another political party comes to power, which political party to power swapper? Nothing. So swapper is still in charge since 1990. Give other people a chance and see whether they are failing. The South. LPM took over there, see changes left, right, and center. Streets have been constructed. People have been okay, back to my chance. So this thing of person with sheepskin is a problem. We cannot deal with this Mickey Mouse politics. I'm part of the city of Windhoek. For the very first time, city of Windhoek secured 55 million. The others were not zero. I'm still asking what if another party take what we do? They are doing there's little in local austerity. They are taking over. They are waiting. Which political parties divided? Do you understand what I'm doing? Let me come to my brother who's name Namibians are lazy. That's why they cannot give work to Namibians because they are lazy. Nana Kangula, when he was in office, he said, no, when you are bringing in foreign investors, Namibians are not educated, they are not bringing experience. Let's stick to this deal. The foreigners will come in with 90% of their workforce, and that was 1990, and 10% would be the Namibians. 30 years, we had graduates from vocational schools, University of Namibia. That act didn't change yet. We tried to give submission for this foreign direct investment act to change, but nothing took place. And you are still saying, you guys are lazy. We are engaging. The policies are there. The Chinese are taking advantage. We are coming to 90% of our workforce. We stick to the 10% that Angola agreed on in 1990. And we are saying, no, change this act. And we are saying, what are you guys doing about engaging? We have political parties that we are setting up, independent candidates like Tula from a party who are fighting the system. And you are saying, what are you guys doing? We are waiting. Yes, we are working. No, it's a vision and LPM watch. It hurts. It's all about unity. Now, exactly what Namibia want. We are also disciplined. We have also disciplined. We attack, but we do homework and we wait for our turn. Otherwise, the thing is, you want people to believe you. You want to be credible. But if you are shaky in terms of no idea, then that will also be a problem. Thank you, Michael. I'm mindful of your program. Maybe before we close, we can go for the future of the next proposal. How to join the movement, the activists who. Please, let me, with those two keywords that Michael left us with, as facilitator, I said when I came here, I come from the background of a community developer. Dear colleagues, no development does take place where there is conflict. There is no development that can go on when we are united.
That's correct.
We need to be united. When we, I also have to agree with my colleague there. Yes, it hurts when we are being pointed. We are a lazy nation. Yes, we are. It hurts when you are being pointed at your faults. Let's improve, we can improve. It's not a permanent disability, we can improve. We need to work hard. But for me, as a community developer, I want to say, I represent the community of the vulnerable and minority. When are we leaving these people behind in this movement? In the same movement, you are going to say, no, we cannot engage the LGBTI community. You are discriminating.
This is citizen. And then I will not say laziness, I will say hypocrisy comes in the role. Because when we are talking about this, the vulnerable and the minority people, we frown on them and we want to persecute them. But these are policies. And this is in the line of the debate of the what is it? Abortion. Yeah, abortion. Hypocrisy is coming into play. The church, the one that is shunning people away, telling people you are not going to enter the church, is the one that is saying you are not to control your own. What is the interest? What? Huh? Big hypocrisy. Well, I'm a Christian. I'm a member of the LGBT community. And don't ask me, do I live my homosexualism outside when I enter the church? I'm still homosexual. You are heterosexual, I'm a homosexual. I'm in the church, but I don't practice my whatever. My lifestyle I leave it behind. But I'm not going to become overnight a heterosexual. Thank you.
Just only comment with regard to the young man, the comment about they refer to it as infant industry protection. The poultry, even milk and pasta. What government does is they allow these people to charge whatever prices they want to charge by keeping imports away in one way or another. So people are saying subsidize, but the first thing government must first do is to stop maize producers from inflating price unfairly. Like I mentioned earlier, this price is inflated. It's not the price that is determined by the market. I hear some people say the market must do what it must do and it must be left alone, but this is not the market. These are people enabled by the government to unfairly inflate the price. And it's the same thing with pork and chicken. They say Brazilians are also don't bring your chicken, buy this expensive chicken produced 40 kilometers outside Bantu, which is expensive, but the army government is buying chicken from other places. And the citizens must buy this expensive. But anyway, the picture we see there was about the genetically modified organisms. What happened there basically is, you see, we said earlier, consumers have a right to know and you have a right to information. But there, they do not tell you if there's genetically modified organisms or not. Basically, genetically modified organisms mean, according to what they explain, when they plant the maize in the cost or whatever, wheat. When it's genetically modified, they say abalitical diseases and pesticides, or whatever, which is not true in my view. But the things they put in the food, now that has an impact on us and we do it over a long time. So it is a lot of chance to cause great harm. So we took this, the picture was, as you can see, it's in a box. I was at number school here, but no, I think DHL. I was about to stay in South Africa for testing. Namibia, Stosco, this one, White Star, we tested to prove to the consumer government that somebody is not honest, it's unethical. So these are some of the things that the good brother is asking, what do we do? I mean, as actors, even as consumers, we are volunteers. Sometimes we get to save only once more or whatever. We use that money to run these expensive tests. Because a test like this will cost you today just that one can 10,000. The previous one, maybe 15. And the next one is even more expensive. Okay, these are also GMO can also be found in oil. What we saw is there are products that are more likely to be genetically modified, like maize and even canola, soya, and that kind of thing. So you see the picture where we laugh at the Namibians. Yes, too much. Yeah, we laughed. So what we did there was the other one at the top right corner, Tommy's left corner, is from Kharkiv, Little, and then it's various places. If I can still remember, this one is from Claim the Two, Melton Bites, and this is from Rand Street, Kumasta. That's Abaran cheese. And then we have Pick and Pay. Do you like this big sausage from Pick and Pay? They want us to smell it like porridge. Yeah, this one is okay, I told you this, but what happened there was we collected samples from various shops because we wanted to find out. Because you see, when you see a piece of meat, whether it's a leg or whatever, you can tell more or less it's a goat or it's a. But when it's processed like that, it's difficult, and that's when they cheat. So and it happened in Europe, South Africa, and we decided let's see in Namibia if we don't have, maybe not, I don't want to use because there are some other.
Maybe why you are saying, maybe, like what is the general principle kind of a standard? Let's say the item is maybe expired, because I've seen some shop, those expired items, maybe the weight is supposed they take it to the yeah. And then let's say when those kids going out there and feed on those. I don't know what is the general way of, because in any way we cannot roll out and sometimes the product has been expired. But what is the general principle of expired item issues?
Okay, now it's a valid question. But before I proceed, you see, when food is expired, the responsibility is on the seller, whether it's Pick and Pay or whoever, to get rid of it. Because under the primary health care rules, under the Ministry of Health, people are not supposed to be subjected to food that can cause them harm. Because what's the point? You eat that thing to not to feel hungry, but then you go to the hospital or you spend the whole day in the toilet. It doesn't make sense. So somebody must protect you against yourself. So people must see to eat that they destroy that. I mean, I don't know exactly, but maybe I should not mention this. Yes, it's regulated. Expired food is regulated. It must not be, when it expires, it's not fit for human consumption. So they must see to it that people, but I know what happens, it might be different. But anyway, this is where if the meat you see the, for example, you see the package in the middle is written game. So what kind of meat do you expect there? Game meat. Game meat which can be anything, whether it's putu or orange, phosphor, yeah, something like that. Yeah. And some of them they said it's beef. But what we found was
when they discover the persons, some of them just don't think, you see the company coming up. Those white guys with the phone. And they have
what I know is if it is available in the right quantity, and if the capacity is there, I'm not sure, but I know Ministry of Health has or is supposed to have. Like I said, even to municipality is supposed to say, if you buy bread and you see cockroach, what time you get it to? I saw a cockroach, I took it to, because you see, these people are licensed. The local authorities also giving them permission to operate. So they are supposed to meet certain criteria. So you have a right to also complete. But anyway, let me conclude, colleagues. Some of the parcels you can see here. Can you see? This is the company, Focus Meat Market. I took one from them. They also say it's green meat. But what they discovered there, you see that one is red. That one in red is what they found. Now is this game. You see, these are some of the things that we are faced with. The other one is digital meat from Fountain Local Foods Bank Center. They said it's beef. They said it's. Sorry, I have to navigate this thing. And then we find a few, I think that one was fine. I think that one was fine. And then we have mixed beef, supposedly beef. Even this one is fine. And then we had chakalaka sausage from Oklahoma on a color. Now that's our side. We're talking about this side. In that they have beef, sheep, and so you see that